Hello, everyone, and welcome to United Way. Live United. I'm Terry Westerfield. And today, joining me is a friend and a wonderful woman, Miss Kay Wilkins. Kay is the Chief Executive Officer of the American Red Cross of South Louisiana region. And Kay, before I go any further, I'm going to ask you later, do you ever sleep? Let me explain. You are the busiest woman I know.
Oh, thank you for asking me to come join you today.
And right now, well, we know it's that time again. I mean, here we are, hurricane season.
Exactly.
From June 1st through November 30th, and residents across South Louisiana are keeping a wary eye on the Gulf. They stock up on staples like batteries and bottled water, and most importantly, they make a plan. And that's what you are always talking about. Preparation, preparation, preparation.
You know, we really want to get to the point, Terry, where when we see June 1st or we know school is ending for the year, we start thinking, oh my goodness, I want to make sure I've got everything in my disaster supply kit updated. So we'll, take some time when the kids are coming home and they're throwing their school bags down and they're saying, I'm no more school, no more school. That's the perfect time to say, okay, now here's our next family activity. We're going to pull out our disaster supply kit. We're going to go through. We're going to make sure the batteries for the flashlights are working. We're going to make sure that we've got the food, the water. We're going to take stock of medications. We're going to think about who we care for. Do we have pets that we're responsible for? Do we have small children or is a family member living with us who has a special medical need? And we're going to make sure that we're providing for them too. And do it now before the fervor and the busyness of the summer takes in. Now's the time to get prepared.
And I was going to say, you're talking about taking those book packs off the kids. I know there's something that you push for the young ones.
It absolutely is.
Put the onus on them. What do you want in, heaven forbid, you have to leave your home because of a storm?
You know, when we look at the people who have been affected by the hurricanes we've had, I mean, we could name them. It's almost like an alphabet soup. For some people, it's Andrew. For the majority of us, it's Katrina. But now our children who are going into first grade, second grade, don't remember a Katrina. So for them, it might be an Isaac. We really do sometimes overlook the kids and the impact that hurricanes and storms of any nature have on our kids. So we've worked really hard these past few years to concentrate on helping our kids feel empowered and know what to do. I would love for them to be the line leader in the family saying, hey, before we pack away this backpack, it'd make a great disaster supply kit. Let's put some stuff in it that we need for hurricane season in case we have to evacuate. Or even better, maybe some of the kids will say, hey, I've heard the Red Cross has a pillowcase that we can use. And we have a wonderful preparedness project. It's an education project where we've partnered with Disney, but we're giving out free pillowcases to kids in our community, but talking to them about what that represents. It represents power in the hands of our kids. It represents a way for us to keep our families safe and prepared because those kids can pack stuff into a pillowcase. They can draw on the outside of the case the things that are important to them that they want to keep under their bed, in a pillowcase under their bed, so that they can, in an emergency, rush out of the home, but take that stuff that's really important to them.
It provides them with some security and perhaps alleviates some fear because you've been on the show many times post-Katrina and all these years later, and we still talk about and remember how the stories that friends and family and others shared with us, the children were so affected that after the storm and then coming back, they were terrified of water, didn't want to take baths, didn't want to see things. This will help get them into the rhythm that this is a way of life, unfortunately, if you love and live in South Louisiana. And also, you brought up something earlier I want to talk about because it is important. Too many people, it seems like, are having a false sense of security. We want them prepared. We want them to do the checklist that the Red Cross has. We want them to do all these other things. But folks, again, preparedness, and I'm calling awareness, we still live in a high hurricane-prone area.
It's a way of life for us. So, I think I look for the day when our kids are saying, end of school, hey, let's check our disaster kit. Or when they're in school and they're learning the mapping skills in geography or social studies and they're saying, hey, one of the activities we could do is let's figure out a route out of the city, out of our area, in case we need to evacuate, and let's plan a second route. And then let's make a list of the things we need to take with us if we're going to need to evacuate in a car with our family. What are some important things we need? Kids really, once we talk to them about about preparedness and the things they can do, they become a little bit stronger and a little bit more courageous, because oftentimes they think, well, there's nothing we can do. We're just going to be pulled along. Oftentimes they're the ones that start the family conversation about what it's going to take to be safe in and around New Orleans. We're surrounded by water. We need to be ready for whatever water event occurs to us.
And I'm looking at my iPhone right now, and I'm thinking, my nephew, who, 10 years old, is far more adept at all the things that this phone can do and all the apps. And kids, adults, everyone can be more part of their planning, because I have to tell you, Kay, what the Red Cross has done is amazing. App after app after app. I'm looking here, 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's try to talk brief about all of them. We have an app for that. They may not all be applicable to here, but at some point, who knows? And maybe let's talk a little bit about that, because, again, whether you're a child, you're a teen, you're an adult, there are things that can help you, again, help alleviate some of the stress and things that might come with knowing that perhaps should you go, or there is any kind of incident where they could be better prepared.
Well, first off, let's talk about the fact that those apps can be downloaded from any of the stores. If you have a Droid, go to Google. Go to the Google store. If you have an iPhone, go to the Apple store and download and search Red Cross apps. You'll find lots of apps. And they're free. We charge for one app, and that's our pet first aid app, and it's 99 cents. But everything else,
99 cents.
Oh. But everything else is free. So we're getting ready. We're getting we see the weather patterns are changing. So we're seeing a lot of rain, downpours, rainfall, heavy rainfall. So we have a flood app. That would be the first thing I would download right now, is that flood app. As we move into the seasonal changes, a hurricane season brings with it lots of water, lots of wind. We have a flood app. That app will tell you what you need to do to keep your home safe before floodwaters threaten. It tells you what to do if you come back to your home after you've had a flood, but it also gives you important safety tips to keep your family safe when there's heavy rainfall. Then we have a tornado app. I keep that app on, and what I like best about this app is it allows me to keep an eye not only on the weather here, but also on my son who lives in Chattanooga. So when there's a tornado warning in Chattanooga, I hear it through my Red Cross Tornado app. It lets me know that my loved ones are going through a weather event, and so I can keep an ear to the tuned to the news, and also do the mom thing where I text and say, hey, do you have everything, and where are you, and are you safe?
But that's a great point, because it is nationwide, and so many of us have family, friends, other loved ones, and acquaintances across this country, and it's been a particularly tornadic season. So a lot going through the Midwest and up through Tennessee and all these places, and so now you can check in on mom, dad, or a son.
And exactly. And I had a friend out of Oklahoma who said, Red Crosser, who said that she had spoken to someone who'd gone through one of the tornadoes they had earlier in the spring. And that person had the Red Cross Tornado app. And the app, the siren went off. You don't even have to have it tuned in. It will go. If there's a warning, a siren will go off. The siren went off. That person was able to gather her children, move into an interior part of her home, and she was safe.
Saved her life.
It did. It saved her life, because unfortunately her home was not spared in that. But her family's life was spared. So you just never know. A free app. You take the time now. If the sun's shining, now's the time to do it. If it's raining, you need to do it. Stop what you're doing right now and download that flood app, the tornado app, and oh my goodness, the hurricane app. As we move into hurricane season, you'll hear us more and more talk to people about the hurricane app. There are lots of fun things on that app. It will test your weather knowledge, so you can earn badges if you will, about as you become better educated about hurricane watches and warnings and things that you should look for and do when hurricanes are first approaching us or when hurricanes actually threaten our area. But it also gives you information about shelters. Many of our people have that evacuation plan in place, so they know where they're going to take their families. But some of the people in our population area depend on shelters being opened as their place of safe refuge. So it will tell you what to bring to a shelter. And when shelters are opened, that app can also help you locate shelters that are close to you, or in the case of hurricanes, outside harm's way, because Red Cross is not going to open shelters if there's a threat to people in that with that shelter being opened in the face of hurricanes.
And that's an important place, I think, to stop for just this moment,
Okay.
because we learned, unfortunately, from past experiences that, yes, there's a great deal of the population who don't have access or the financial capability, perhaps, of traveling to where they might need to go to get out of harm's way. So if they're relying upon perhaps an evacuation through the city or the state or else, otherwise there are different shelters, but you work in tandem with all the different groups, but you're going to make sure that everyone is safe. And as you said, it's above that magical line above I-12 and beyond, correct?
That's correct. You know, we work very closely with the Department of Homeland Security and emergency preparedness officials, almost walking in tandem with them when disasters threaten, whether it's a flood, whether it's a tornado, or whether it's hurricane winds that are threatening our area. We have someone who is sitting at the table with the emergency managers talking about what the needs of the population and the citizenry are, and then we know what resources Red Cross has that we can bring in to bear. And thanks to United Way and your support of our preparedness programming, we're also able to reach out to trained volunteers and ask our volunteers to stand ready so that when a call comes to the Red Cross for us to open a shelter, we're able to do it with trained volunteers and people who are committed to keeping our community safe together. And that's a tremendous. I can't overstate how important that is to the Red Cross and to the people who walk through that shelter, clutching that pillowcase, clutching that backpack, who are looking to us for safe refuge, but also a comforting shoulder. And we're able to do that because we've trained our volunteers and we've gotten our resources together ahead of time.
Again, preparation.
Exactly.
If people are listening today and they think, it's something I want to do, I would like to be a Red Cross volunteer. Now, we're talking about hurricanes or perhaps working at shelters, but there are so many opportunities to be a volunteer in so many different capacities if you want to sign up with Red Cross.
Absolutely. And you know what? You're going to laugh. We have an app for that. We actually do, and I love it. It's a volunteer app, and you can go on, you can download it, and you can go online and via a web-based program, you're able to sign on to the Red Cross. You can see what kind of volunteer opportunities are there, and you can sign on. And then we call you. It's that person to person. You can't replace that. But we do have the app for our volunteers who are currently with us. So when the call goes out now, we'll do the traditional. We'll send email, we'll do phone calls, but we also send out via our web base, we'll send out information about where the need is for our volunteers. And then our volunteers on the go, standing in line at the grocery store, are able to access our web page and tell us when they would be available, or if they're not available, we know that as well, so we can move on to the next person. But absolutely, we're always looking for our next volunteer. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, well, do you have enough volunteers? And I say, never. Of course, the volunteers we have are awesome volunteers. Their hearts are made of gold, and their arms reach wider than the state of Louisiana. But At any point in time, we're only able to access 30% of our volunteers. Right now, we have about 2,000 volunteers in our region, so we know that only 70% of them are going to have other things going on when a disaster strikes, because you can't plan a disaster. So we're constantly looking to increase those volunteer numbers and keep those numbers fresh. And we're looking for skills. You know, if someone says, I don't know if I have any skills, I would bet you that I could spend 30 minutes with you and we would walk away with 4 or 5 different assignments for you as a volunteer, because it's not just your job skills that we're looking for, it's life skills. You know, all of us are taught as a child how to give a hug. That's what we need. We need people who are caring about their neighbor, who love to organize. If you've got volunteers out there or persons out there who said, well, you know, I don't know what to do, but they manage a household, or they help manage offices, or they manage warehouses. Oh my goodness, can I keep you busy? You know, the Red Cross is just a wonderful place where we see diversity in its finest. We see people from all walks of life, from all ages, who can give us hours at a time, or who can give us weeks at a time. And we are accepting and welcoming each of those with open arms. So now's the time to give us a call or go online.
There's an app for that.
There is an app for that.
I think about the fact that often during disaster of any kind, and a Red Cross volunteer is often the first person you'll be greeted by. And it can be a volunteer who is from our own region, or others because of the great influx that have come in after the storms to help. And likewise, our volunteers have gone elsewhere to help after tornadoes or fires. And it is this wonderful reciprocal exchange of giving, and as you said, sometimes a hug and a lot more too.
Absolutely. You know, when the spring tornadoes came through Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, one of the first disaster IRVs, those big Red Cross emergency response vehicles, to get into Mississippi was the New Orleans IRV. And it was staffed by 3 of our volunteers who were just wonderful, who every day are responding to fires that we have here in the New Orleans area. So when someone's house is on fire and they don't know where to turn to, the Red Cross is there to help. But one of the things that this group said to me when they came back home was, you know, we were so excited to work in Mississippi, and the people, they worked in a mobile home park that had been leveled, and they said the people that were in that mobile home park and were cleaning up were so appreciative to see us. And they say, New Orleans, oh, you all know all about disaster. So it really does provide a sense of security too.
We know you brought up fire, and that's it. We're here and we're talking a lot about flooding and hurricane preparedness, but again, Red Cross does so many things. And yes, there are fires here all the time. And I was looking at some of the things that you've done, because I just want to give people an idea about how busy this particular, your Red Cross, our United Way supported Red Cross is. You have responded to 700, and this was a year ago, because you're still compiling all this data that's even more current. But folks, the Red Cross has provided almost 30,000 people with preparedness and resiliency training, saving lives right there. And as you said, the more prepared you are, the more quickly you can recover. You've responded to, as I said, 716 local disasters. You've helped almost 1,000 families, over 3,000 people rebuild their lives following a disaster. You've trained almost 23,000 people in health and safety techniques. You connect military members and their loved ones. The list goes on and on and on. You are America's first responder.
Well, you know, we support those first responders. Thanks for saying that. And again, a shout out to United Way. And I don't want to leave this conversation without saying to everyone out there a huge thank you, because when you give to United Way, you are also helping the Red Cross and the people we serve every day. You know, not a day goes by that we don't respond to a fire. In fact, we know that we're responding to every 7 hours. There's a fire that occurs in our region area every 9 to 10 hours here in the New Orleans area. And what that means is when a person's home has a fire, the fire department is immediately dispatched. But here in the New Orleans area, we're dispatched too. And we go with our trained volunteers. The Red Cross van will pull up, and we'll talk to that family, and we'll talk that family through what the next steps, the next hours are as they try to rebuild their lives. And we're there giving the hugs, and we're there giving the resources, but we're there because someone took time to say, I believe in our community, I want to help, I want to make a donation to United Way. So again, my kudos to you all for what you do for all of our agencies, and most especially for the Red Cross, because I see that work in action every single day.
Well, it is a strong partnership, and we all need to work collectively for the better of this region. And speaking of that, folks may not all know this, but your job has literally doubled. I'm saying that because you notice now we say the Red Cross South Louisiana region, where it used to be Southeast Louisiana chapter. That's why I was teasing at the beginning of the program, Kay, do you ever sleep? Because now we're talking all the way from Lake Charles and that end of the world all the way over down to the tip of Lafourche or Terrebonne and Plaquemines and beyond, because this is an area that, again, has seen a great need, and the Red Cross has been there for them.
Exactly. You know, one of the things that we wanted to do as we look as a national organization is we really looked at ways that we could economize our back office different tasks that we had and find a way to create some efficiencies. And the way we did that is by taking all the chapters in South Louisiana are still chapters. Red Cross is local. We still have the volunteers in Lake Charles that we had in Lake Charles 4 years ago. But right after Isaac, we pulled together as a region so that the administrative back office support could be completed as one, not as 4 separate chapters in South Louisiana. And that's really helped us a lot. It's helped strengthen our ability to respond quickly. I think about the first response we had that was a regional response was we were responding to an evacuation from a chemical plant, and it was in the Gonzales area. So we were opening a family reception center at the Lamar Dixon auditorium. I was on my way to Baton Rouge for a meeting. I moved my time, and I stopped at the reception center. Right behind me was the Red Cross emergency response vehicle. You know, they had supplies because, again, we're ready at any point in time to roll to help families and communities. They were there with snacks. The emergency response vehicle from Lake Charles came in, and on the way it had picked up some pizza and such for the families that were there. And we had our mental health team from the Baton Rouge area there working with those families who were under a little bit of emotional stress at that time. And I looked around and I thought, this is what a regional concept can do. It doesn't weaken any of the local response. It strengthens it, and it just made me feel very, very committed and very proud of what we were able to do as a national organization, but also even more what we're able to do locally, because I know we've got an A+ team ready to roll, regardless of where the disaster may take us.
You know, we're focusing a lot on the preparation and families and individuals, but there is something you're doing that is so phenomenal too with business. And again, it crosses because it's not just hurricanes. You mentioned the plant and you had the problem there. Businesses are looking more and more to be prepared for whatever might come, and Red Cross is right there with your program.
Well, I thanks for bringing that up, because we're really excited about this. You know, we recently had the launch of our Ready 365 program, and what that means is a play on words, but it's also, to me, a commitment to those words. and that is that the Red Cross needs to be ready 365 days out of the year. I mean, we don't want to say, hey, we'll do that after the holiday, or, ooh, let's wait until the sun is shining before we come out to help you, or can we do that on Monday because we have a weekend plan, activities planned. No, that's not what it means. It means that the Red Cross is there 365 days out of the year at any point in time. And we have approached businesses and we've said, we want you to join us. We need to be prepared. You can't, just as the firemen don't build the fire truck running to the fire, Red Cross doesn't need to build our A-plus teams, disaster action teams, as the call is coming out for a disaster response. We need to be ready now. And we've asked businesses to help us by committing resources, their human resources through their employees, and engaging those employees in helping us in disaster response, and their financial resources, because it takes dollars for us to train our staff and to have those big emergency response vehicles ready to roll at a moment's notice. So we need to have some type of planning in place that keeps both ready, but keeps both on the leading edge, so that when a disaster happens, we've got not only our volunteer force ready, we've got our business force ready, and through the organizations that support us and sponsor us with Ready 365. And again, kudos to United Way for coming on board and helping us with that, and helping sponsor our launch. I've heard so many great things about it, and businesses are looking for that information.
And it please be comfortable in giving out a shout out or two, because I know without Dow Chemical and some of the others that were there, that's again what makes it work together. We can't do it without the support of individuals, families, and our business organizations, our groups out there, because we all need to work together collectively.
Absolutely. Dow stepped up at the very beginning and is our title sponsor for this, and said, we believe in our communities. And so I can't thank Dow enough. But there are also other corporations too that just come up when I think about this, and they're always on in my mind, and I see them. It's Whitney, Ladder and Bloom, Hollywood Trucks, and so you've got so many people that have United Way, that here in this area that have said they're going to step forward. Pelche Foundation is another one that comes to mind, and many others that have said, we believe in the Red Cross, and we'll step up, and we will be part of helping make sure that our business is ready 365 days out of the year to respond, but also that Red Cross is ready. We also offer a program called Ready Rating through the Ready 365.
Do for your company.
Where a company can also be prepared, kind of like a pillowcase is going to be the
one
thing
really
that
large
families
pillowcase
need.
for the
This is a
business.
large pillowcase for families called Ready Rating.
Well, Kay, it's always so wonderful to have you on the program. We've got just a couple minutes left, and I want to kind of do a summary and have you wrap it up, if you will, for those who've tuned in today. But again, so many things. Let's talk about, we mentioned the apps, but if there's someplace else that people want to sign up for more information or to volunteer, I know there's your website, and maybe a couple last little things that you want people to remember about preparedness for hurricane season.
Thanks, Terry. I tell you what, first off, it starts with you. If you're not prepared, your family's not going to be prepared. So the first thing I would ask all of our listeners to do is make sure you do 3 things in these next 2 weeks. The first, make a plan. If a disaster happens and we need to leave our homes, what's your plan? Have a second alternate route available if we need to evacuate during hurricane season. The second thing is pull out that disaster supply kit. Now, I'm assuming you've got that disaster supply kit. If you don't, make your disaster supply kit. Pillowcases are great kits. Backpacks are great kits, or even I keep mine in a plastic container. But check it. Make sure your flashlight's working. Make sure your batteries are fresh. Look at medications that you need, that you or your family member needs.
And that's key. That is something really important.
Absolutely. If you have pets, go online and we'll give you information about what you need to do to keep your pets safe. If you care for loved ones, for our seniors, and you're responsible for a parent or a senior loved one, then we also go online and look. We've got extra things you need to do to keep your family safe in an emergency if an evacuation occurs. And stay informed. Do you have shows such as this, and when we know there's a weather event happening, Don't turn off the radio. Don't turn off the TV. Stay informed. We're going to keep our communities safe because our emergency preparedness officials are watching out for us. So thank you.
And Kay, please, if you want to give that website so folks do know.
And volunteer for the Red
Volunteers,
Cross.
right?
Yes.
Because we need more volunteers.
It's
always.
an easy one.
Never enough.
Never enough. www.redcross.org, and then you can do a / New Orleans, or just go online and look. If you're not in New Orleans and you're listening, we have a Red Cross chapter nearby, and www.redcross.org will get you to an app as well.
Kay, thank you so much for joining us today. Kay Wilkins, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the American Red Cross South Louisiana region. And again, Kay, preparedness, make that plan. Any questions, visit the website. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Terry Westerfield. And for United Way, live united.